everyone, Nina from the Globetrotting Accountant here. If you've been around a while, then you'd know that I have a sample budget template that I share with all of you in order to help you fulfill your day-to-day budget needs and start saving for your travel and bucket list dreams. Last year, I created the Instructions tab in order to make the sample budget template a little more user-friendly. So this Instructions tab goes step by step for how to populate a budget and put your own numbers into the budget. This year I have decided to go ahead and do an accompanying video and walk through an example and all the instructions step by step so that you have this video to reference as you're populating your budget template and really to help you get going. So hopefully you like it and stay tuned. So the very first thing, the first step in the instructions is to save your own template. That is really important because this information is available to anybody who has this link, which is anybody who has requested this link from me, basically. You do not want to fill out this template because if you start to fill it out, everybody will have access to your personal income and expense information. So in order to protect that information, you need to save your own copy to your own Google Drive. What you'll do is you can go to File and make a copy or download it and save it to your own Google Drive. And then what you'll see is when you click on this green button, instead of it saying anyone with link, it will have a little lockbox and it will say private only to me. And again, that's really important and is the very first step in the instructions to make sure that you are protecting your personal information. So once you've saved your own copy and you've protected your personal information, it's really time to start getting into the nitty-gritty of the budget tab, of the budget template. The very first step is to start with the budget tab. And then I always start with with income. So you go into the budget tab and you start putting the income that you either make every week, every other week, or every month, depending on how often you get paid. Again, you should be using an after-tax number. So this is basically your take-home dollars so that you are not over budgeting based on taxes that are already getting withheld from your paycheck or that you're going to end up having to pay to the government. So if you start with the budget tab, you will be able to enter your income. And there's a lot of formulas in the budget tab that are based off of income, which is why it's important to enter. So let's just say you make $2,000 a month and you get paid every other week. So you're going to put $1,000 in week 1, 0 in week 2, 1,000 in week 3, and 0 in week 4. And again, this is just to help you establish a budget. If you are in the hospitality industry or the gig industry, try to estimate how much tips and income that you make from those types of industries every week. So for example, on the weeks that you don't get paid, if you go wait tables or pick up 10 Uber rides or something, try to really estimate how much money you bring home from those things so you can put an extra $300, I don't know. And again, that will help you set your expense goals. What you're going to do is you're going to really focus on income and you're going to fill it out for the entire year. So if you're starting this January 1st, you're going to put what you think you're going to earn in January and then just copy and paste it over for the entire year so that you have all your income projected for the entire year. I'm not going to do that, but you can just take this little plus sign and drag it over if it's the same, or just type in something else if it's different. Or, if you're, again, in the hospitality industry and make more money during the summer and spring, type that in. But you're going to really focus on income and making sure that you have your income planned for the whole year. Next, you're going to move on to expenses. And this 25% benchmark is really just based on living in Georgia, and that your home expenses shouldn't really be more than 25% of your take-home pay. That should be really the goal for anybody living in the United States. But I know that can change a lot depending on where you live and having to pay high rents in certain areas. So what you'll do is you start filling out your home expenses. So this is your rent or mortgage. I don't know if it's $800 a month or more. Your gas, your water, your phone, any kind of maintenance and improvements that you're doing to your home that may cost you money every month. So like if you have, a home equity line that you're using to remodel your kitchen or something, that will go here. And then your power. Again, the goal is really to just fill out everything that you know. So you know if your gas is going to be 60 and if your water is going to be 50 and your cell phone or home phone, do people have home phones anymore these days? Your cell phone is going to be 150, cable internet 150. Whatever the case may be, you're just filling out your home expenses. And you'll notice as you fill them out that your net income per earnings at the top is going to keep going down. So what it will really show you is that as you're filling out these home expenses, which I consider your must-haves, they're not, variable in any way. These are the things that you need to function. As you start putting them in, this net income will go down. Calculate a percentage at the bottom. So what you can see now is my absolute home expenses, instead of being 25%, is actually closer to 60%, which is really high. And this is where you'll start to do some of the thinking. So for example, is your phone bill really high? And is there ways that you can cut that? Can you change providers? Can you go with a cheaper provider? Do you really, need a phone, or can you use it on Wi-Fi? I don't know. But say you change providers and you can get it down to, 75, cut it in half. Same thing with cable and internet. Cable and internet can be really expensive. Say you decide to go with just internet and stream, all your, video channels and stuff, and you can actually cut this down to 75. And again, you'll see your income start to go up and your expenses start to come down. So all this is trying to do is show you how much you spend on things that are non-negotiable, and help you think through where you might be able to make some changes to bring those expenses down. Same thing with your transportation expenses and your daily living expenses, which you'll notice some of which are already calculating based off of your income. So basically, we're just going to assume that you live in New York City and you have 0 car payments and 0 car insurance, and you don't need gas, and you don't have repairs, or you don't have other vehicle expenses. If you have other transportation expenses like the metro, you can always type this in and just change it. Be sure you change it on the cash flows tab as well. Actually, nope, I have it changed automatically. I thought about that. But you can just change it for the expenses that you do have. So, I mean, if you still live at home and you don't pay rent, mortgage, you can just not put anything there. And again, you don't have to use these set of expenses, but they are a good place to start. So again, once you fill in all your income, your groceries, clothing, dry cleaning, dining out, entertainment, which will include things like going to the movies, will all pre-populate, which is why it's really important to get your income fully put in. Again, I've put other things like pets, school tuition, or student loans, children's expenses if you have any children, and just a bucket for miscellaneous. And you're going to take the exact same approach and estimate everything. And again, you're not married to any of these expenses. I just thought they would be general expenses that most people are experiencing. So then you're going to go down to your credit cards and your debt. About your debt is making sure that you are paying all your debt off, whether you have student loans, credit cards, I don't know, whatever the case may be, home equity lines, again, they can go here. You're going to want to make sure to pay them off. Now, in my opinion, there are two schools of thought of how to pay your debt off. One is called the snowball effect, where you start with your smallest debt. So you rank your debt in this budget template from smallest to largest, and you pay minimum payments on everything but the smallest debt, and you basically pay the smallest debt off quickest, and then you pay the next piece of debt off quickest. So it's really supposed to be an encouragement of motivating you to pay off debt because you're able to get lots of debt paid off, and it's like setting small goals for paying off debt. The only problem that I have with this school of thought is that it will end up costing you more at the end of the day. And that is because you will be paying more interest because you're paying more interest on your larger pieces of debt than you are your smallest pieces of debt. So my solution is that you rank your debt from largest with highest interest rate. So if you have, $11,000 of student loans, but most of it was subsidized and it's earning like a 3% interest rate, that might not rank as high as $10,000 of credit card debt, but credit card debt is having an interest rate of like 26%. So you're going to want to pay your credit card debt off sooner than your student loans because it's costing you more. So that's really all you're going to do here, and that's what the instruction tab is trying to show you, is that you're basically going to calculate how much your debt in interest is costing you every month, and then you're going to rank that debt from most costly to least costly, and you're going to start tackling the most costly first. Now, this can be a little discouraging. Again, the snowball effect is put in place to, encourage you to pay off debt because you get all these small wins right up front. This is totally different because you're tackling the highest costing, usually largest balance of debt that you have right up front. So it can be a little discouraging because it feels like the debt never goes away, but it is less costly. Again, you're not married to the solution. You can always go back to the snowball effect if you want to and re-rank your debt. But it is important to know that that method is probably going to cost you more unless you just pay off your debt wicked fast. So that is what is important in your credit cards and ranking all your cards. The other thing I have in here is your savings. So your savings goal, I've just put $5,000 a year. What you're going to see, and this is just every week, the 5,000 is broken up into these different savings goals. And they really don't seem that bad. I feel like the savings goals are able to take off in bite-sized chunks, and you can end up putting a lot away for your next year's worth of travel. But what you will see is, for example, if you have a $600 payment, you're going to be actually negative. So you're going to have a negative balance that you're going to have to take care of. If you've gone through all your expenses and you don't think there's anything else to cut down, then the thing you have to cut down is your travel savings. And you'll go through and you'll basically say, well, I'm out $75, so I know I need to, I can't save this $35 and I can't save this $45 to bring me back to a positive balance for the month. That's really important to do, and you'll do that every single month until you get to a positive balance. And then, whatever savings goal you end up at is where you end up. And that's your travel savings for the next year. But it's really important to do that. And again, it's important to critically think through all of your expenses and if any of it can be cut down. and if you can save somewhere else before cutting into those